From the footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense, I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our FBS Game of the Week preview between the Ball State Cardinals and the Northern Illinois Huskies. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with Ball State.
One of the best offenses in the country is Ball State, led by quarterback Keith Winning, who's throwing to one of the best set of receivers in the MAC, led by sensational wideout Willie Snead. And the Cardinals also can grind it out on the ground with both Jawan Edwards and Horatio Banks running behind a huge and talented offensive line. The key this week versus Northern Illinois will be execution. When you're facing a team that is deadly on offense, as are the Huskies, you must maximize your possessions, and your execution and precision must be flawless with little to no mental errors. The advantage lies up front with the Cardinals' offensive line, and if this unit is struggling, so will this entire offense. Defensively, the Cardinals possess a lot of speed and athleticism across the board. The problem is that they tend to struggle versus the run. 4.9 yards a carry is not a good statistic, and what they have to avoid this week versus Northern Illinois is getting beat by alignment pre-snap and by assignment post-snap. Trust that your secondary can hold their own versus the Huskies wide receiver, and every player in the box must simply keep their eyes on their luggage, which means you have to do your assignment. And I would also switch up the coverages on the back end as well. Now let's move over to Northern Illinois in this ball game. The Huskies have been one of the most consistent programs over the last decade, and this year's team boasts one of the most dangerous players in college football in quarterback Jordan Lynch. The dual-threat Heisman candidate has been on a tear once again, but I'm most impressed with junior wide receiver Deron Brown, who has really emerged as a deep threat. In order for the Huskies to have success this week, they'll have to win on the inside behind guards Aiden Conlon and pro prospect Jared Volk, as they face a very good nose tackle in Ball State's Nathan Ollie. Defensively, the Huskies secondary, in my opinion, will face their stiffest test since Eastern Illinois, so expect the Cardinals to expand that defense and try to attack vertically. They must not allow Jamil Smith to do damage underneath, so it'll be imperative to have him bracketed or get a hand on him at the line of scrimmage in order to be successful. The X factor for the Cardinals will be their secondary. They're going to have to excel on both ends of defense. So you look at guys like Jeffrey Garrett doing a great job versus the run, as well as playing excellent coverage in order to come away victorious versus NIU. The X factor for the Huskies will be their first quarter defense. As talented as they are, and they're 9-0, the Huskies defense tends to start games slowly. That can't happen this week versus Ball State, because they can really light up the scoreboard and move the football in chunks, so that defense has to get off the bus ready to go from the first play of the game. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For Ball State, you want to send one guy extra, but he has to come from the strong side. When you're in obvious running situations, the extra pressure has to come from the strong side. Will put you in better position to stop the run. Now every other down, Northern Illinois forces you to go to a nickel defense. It forces you into that 4-2-5, so that front four has to be able to get pressure in order for you to have success. And you want to shrink this ball game. You want to go on those long sustained drives, whether it be with the pass or with the run, or a good mix of both, but you have to control the TOP if you want to knock off NIU. And for Northern Illinois in this ball game, I look at talented strong safety Jimmy Ward versus the run. That's a guy that can make an impact on this ball game. If they can make Ball State one-dimensional, it goes a long way in helping NIU win this ball game. And the element of surprise early. A lot of people and everyone talks about Jordan Lynch's ability to run the football is very well documented, but he's an excellent passer as well. So I would break those tendencies by throwing the football and trying to catch Ball State guessing defensively, and that way you can generate a big play. And I look at linebacker Boomer Mays' pre-snap impact. Getting everyone aligned properly to better defend the Cardinals' offense, again, goes a long way in helping Northern Illinois stay undefeated. Now here are some 2014 draft prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ball game. And for Ball State, they're a stockpile with talent. You look at that offensive line with Matthew Page and also Jordan Hansel, the guard. And on that defense, Nathan Ollie is one of the better nose tackles in the country. And Jonathan Newsom, a former Ohio State transfer, 6'3", 236 pounds, brings a lot of pressure off the edge, will probably be an outside linebacker at the next level. Keith Winning, one of the more talented quarterbacks you'll see in the country. Zane Fakes, this new age of tight ends that can flex out and be excellent receivers. He's one of those guys. And Jeffrey Garrett at the cornerback position has played great ball all season long. And for Northern Illinois, Jimmy Ward, mentioned him before, one of the best safeties in the country, a strong safety that also has ball skills. And we look along that offensive line, Jared Folk is a guy that has a bright future ahead of him, does a great job on both ends of offense, and Jordan Lynch is a guy, in my opinion, that could also excel in the CFL with his skill set. So those are some prospects I want you to look out for while watching this outstanding battle in the MAC. One of the more accomplished players in Ball State history was running back Timmy Brown. Here's a guy in 1958, averaged 10 yards a carry, and the first time he touched the football in his Ball State career, he went 91 yards for a touchdown and was a consensus All-American. Not only was George Bork one of the best quarterbacks in Northern Illinois history, he was also one of the best quarterbacks in college football history. Here's a guy that was the first QB to throw for over 3,000 yards in a season. He was a consensus All-American, and right now he's still first all-time in school history with completion percentage with 64% and second all-time with passing yards with 6,700. I like Ball State in this ballgame. I believe with that bend but don't break type of approach that clamps down in the red zone like they've done all season long will bode well versus a Huskies team that has to prove they can throw the football consistently. And that well-balanced offensive attack, in my opinion, is very tough to defend. And I don't think they'll give Northern Illinois' defense problems. So I like Ball State to knock off Northern Illinois and move on to 10-1.